Welcome to season 2, episode 1 of Conversations with LJ. Yes, we've done 13 episodes for season 1 and we are now starting season 2. And it is such a great honor to have my guest, the kind of guest that I have today. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, President of the Botswana Congress Party, Saleshando. He kickstarts season 2 of Conversations with LJ. Remember, Conversations with LJ brings you positive human interest stories. It brings you stories of hope and inspiration. Saleshando, welcome to Conversations with LJ.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Getting people like yourselves is not easy.
My sincere apologies. Shuttling between Gaborone and Maung, it's a difficult one. Parliamentary constituency, 1,000 kilometers away. So it kills my planning. And half the time when I think I'll be in Gaborone,
no, I really understand, because even after confirming today's interview, there were other challenges, other things cropped up, but you really have to force matters to be here. And I saw it with Madawale, and it wasn't easy. We would agree on a date, something would come up. And I must say, this is an indication of how serious you take parliamentary work. Always the postponements are always a result of parliamentary work that comes up. I must commend you for that.
And parliamentary work, it's always a moving target. I mean, like today, notice here some meeting you know to attend or cancel. Today it worked for me. Engagement there, but yeah, it's a high pressure job. But
you guys love it. Anyway,
yes.
Dumelang Saleshando. Yeah. Who's Dumelang Saleshando? Omang Otswakai Omanahamang. Who is Dumelang Saleshando?
I wish I could still answer the way I always answered. But yeah, I was born to Gilson Saleshando. And Saleshando. Gilson Saleshando originating from Sankuyo village, Ko Maung. Saleshando from Mateti. So and that's where I started my schooling. Korachile Primary School, doing my standard 1 there. I'm now a married man. Married to Dineo Saleshando, previously Dineo Kobedi. And we've been blessed with 3 children.
I think
Oswar, which person? Yes, sir. And we've been blessed with 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, the youngest. I have 4 younger brothers and no sister. My mother used to boast Horkane and Orana a BDF camp. So when we had our first 2 children, we thought, is the family cares with us? Am I going to have a string of boys? But then when number 3 was born, Ili Mosetsana, we named her Remoni. Like, oh, finally.
Remoni
Mosetsana. Amen.
Talking about your dad, how's the old man? Maybe let's take this moment and tell us, how is he doing?
He is fine. Or relocated to Maung permanently. He enjoys getting involved in community projects, but in the main family matters, because Kanale Nenanali 4 other siblings, Nebale 5. And then like he had 1 sister. All the siblings are no more. So he's more or less the one taking care of the duties. Tseka bundiru ake any moholowe. So wa onyadisitse bana babo monawe onyadisa bana bana. I think he's really enjoying. Yes.
I remember when I was still a journalist, some members of parliament complained or rather appealed to government to assist them.
Yes.
And then I phoned him, give me an interview. What is his take on this? a ba re nya ke re ba dirile lenano la Molaluba ba ya go bereka na Molaluba. I hope ga bereke na Molaluba.
No, he's able to sustain himself.
That's great.
He has a small, let's call it a business. He's also been able to have some houses that he rents out for his own sustenance. But of course, he's also blessed with children who are able to step in when he needs to. I guess he raised his children well.
That's very interesting. And then, Dumelang Saleshando.
Yes.
Let's talk about your schooling first, your tertiary education. What is your profession before you became a politician?
You know, it's interesting. I wanted to apply to university. And I saw something there written, a leaflet, demography.
Demography.
I said, wow. You know, I can imagine myself on holiday, what are you studying? I'm studying demography. But we were employed on a temporary engagement census. And I didn't like the job, but I liked the money as a participant. So when I got to university and realized, demography means, I don't want anything to do with demography. So I then switched. I knew I wanted to study political science. But the normal combination was that you combine political science with public administration. Public administration, what do you work as? I said, never. Because my dad was a district commissioner.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, he was a district commissioner at one point. He was stationed in Tsabong when I was supposed to do my standard 1. It was so far out. My mother then had gone for tertiary education in the US. So the decision was made where I can't be taken to Tsabong. I think it's Mokai. I can't be taken to Tsabong. In any case, he's not only in Tsabong, he's also servicing areas outside Tsabong. So I was assigned to one aunt of mine, and thanks to her, the nearly teacher. So I get to primary school, I get benefit mistress. Then I thought about it, I don't want to do Honamo Laud. I don't want any chance of Honamo Laud. Then I decided I'll combine it with economics. It wasn't a common combination. In fact, the truth is, it was not allowed. In area apply a scholarship, how you are told how to sponsor you. I tried to ask why that tends to be highly politicized. If actually, there were only 2 of us, combination of economics and political science. A lady by the same name Mohobe, I met her recently. She serves in Geneva, embassy ya Botswana.
Yes, I know her.
Yes, I enjoyed the combination. I enjoyed economics more, I must say. And at the time, my thinking was, I think it transformed into what we have as PEDU. Options and it's about the economy of Pigwe. And I simply thought, look, economics will allow me to go back to Pigwe. I will be part of this plan. What are the options for Pigwe? But as I say, later I just turned out, no. It became economics and political science. And looking back, I think these are the 2 fields that have prepared me for what I'm doing today.
Okay.
Please.
And then you mentioned that your father was a district commissioner then.
Yes.
And I don't know until when, and then you went to university. Where did Dumelang and politics meet?
It was a head-on collision with politics, an inevitable head-on collision. I think, let's accept this. When you are growing up in a family where there is a politician, you are likely to drift to politics. When you grow up in a family, there's a high chance it comes with the terrain. But also, at the time when we were growing up, there are a lot of political issues around us. I then went to St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's had a rich history, the politics liberation. There was someone called Onkopotsetir.
Yes.
Well known. Abraham
Well-known
Onkopotsetir.
speaker, yeah.
Yes. He was sent a letter bomb by Maburu of South Africa and died at St. Joseph's. So when you got there, you hear stories about Onkopotsetiro. Refugees from other countries, in the main Zimbabwe, who talk about the difficulties of growing up under a repressive regime. And now for me, some of the things that always mattered to me, it's about general fairness. By a bully in a classroom. From a young age, I would stand up for that person, even if they are not my close associate. And some of these things have resulted in lifelong relationships. I mean, I have friends today who would say, hey, you once took one for me. And this chap has never forgotten an incident just ended 4. And we remain friends because of that. So for me, political organizations, the history of what was happening in South Africa, we would be out at night watching videos, Steve Biko, about what was happening there. We would read whatever literature we could get about what was going on in South Africa, issues of black consciousness. There's no way you could not know about Nelson Mandela. And like I was saying earlier to someone, America was also a place you could not ignore. This week they were burying the legend Jesse Jackson. I loved listening to his presentations. I know there's a lot about what he used to say at his rallies. I followed him. So then that there was a politician in the family just made it a foregone conclusion. Look, it's not that I was always clear I'll go that route. No. In fact, I've said this many times before. My late mother's hope and dream was that I would pay greater attention to the church and even consider becoming a minister of the church. Because I did play an active role, and I would never miss the camp meetings at Sabata, where we would go out and be trained on basic skills.
And I know you are a very staunch Adventist.
I remain a staunch Adventist, yes. But as fate would have it, it was not to be church, but it became politics. She tried all she could do to dissuade me. I remember Releko University near Rezwala, I would be sat down and ke like ipotsa gore ke gore me gone ya no mosadi o itse yang dio tse go teng ke di buile gore no gona le strike sa ga se ga metsi ga to no ore up until ke lemoga gore oh bo mature entry ba manese
ke ditsala tsa ga
she nearly nurse.
Oh yes,
ba molelela and nako le nako ke a o mangwa ke tsena ko lapeng.
Okay.
And I would try and assure her gore yeah, Mikana was not in the forefront.
Even though you were.
Yeah, but what could I do?
Yeah, but opposition politics. Yes. I think as you were discussing the refugee situations in Zimbabwe, the apartheid South Africa, watching Reverend Jesse Jackson's speeches and everything about liberation and all that, it had nothing to do with opposition politics. Why opposition politics?
Well, again, let's go to values. You know, and I'm going to use the old way of classifying political formations. Within the broad spectrum of political parties, you would have your left-leaning and right-leaning parties. I was more attracted to the leftist politics because those are the politics that talked more about freedom. And freedom broadly, not only about within your country and context. That if my neighbor is not free,
I cannot be free.
I cannot be free.
Or I cannot enjoy my freedom.
Yes. And those were the politics that the then stalwart of opposition politics, Kenneth Comer, stood for. His arguments again on the economy. The leftists outside the most extreme would be about an economy that is centrally controlled by the state, as opposed to a totally market-free economy. And back then, within the Botswana spectrum, that is, the BDP was more or less your rightist wing. When then I was attracted to the politics of Kenneth Comer, I must say. And when we were at university, we attended a lot of classes. A leader of opposition. So I looked up to him in a number of ways. But of course, he also then became the reason I left the party he led at the time. Yes.
So before we continue, I think I must apologize to our viewers that I caught flu and I had to decide whether to cancel the interview or just come and then keep coughing. They must pardon me for that. I'm glad you just mentioned that you left the BNF. My next question was going to be, was the decision to leave the BNF and join the BCP your father's influence, or it was a personal decision?
Purely personal. I used to have these political discussions with him, of course. And I would point out the shortcomings of his leader in the party. Not only him. I also became a close associate of Reverend Dawe at the time. And I would also point out the shortcomings to him. And he would simply say, and even at the basic administrative level, I remember one time I was still a University of Botswana student, and there was a trip arranged for us to attend the first conference of the ANC Youth League after the unbanning in Johannesburg. And 3 of us were selected to attend. I was excited. It was going to be my first trip to South Africa. And we got arrested on the way for what I still believe today to have been traffic offenses. But the driver at the time, who was older than us and was the owner of the car, Steve Makura from Katlin.
Oh, yes.
The trip aborted because at one point we didn't even have enough to keep paying the police officers for the offenses, and he was thrown in a cell. And I returned to Botswana. And at that time, my father was not really aware of the extent of my involvement in politics. South Africa. And it was still apartheid South Africa. And he was Secretary General. Reported like go bango ba tshwerwe o hiwa maina ngwana ho molisti. So we come back. Rekoma was then the main center party in the office.
Go village.
Go village. And neither time I believed he was really out of touch with what was going on. You know, he just believed or he could take the phone. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Okay. But what about the South African side? Oh, okay. I can't be happy who was then his deputy. No, don't. To them, Redingake is a terrorist.
Yes.
So there was this, and then I came back and I said, but how can this man continue leading the party when he's so out of touch with modern day reality? And then, of course, he was also in my view, a big barrier towards reforming and modernizing the party. So now I was clear, there's no future here. But my dad differed. He wanted to hold on because he felt that the repercussions of going against the then party leader would be he just couldn't comprehend what. But of course, as they say, things happened such that there was no other option but to leave. Where then the president of the party then was not even willing to listen to the resolutions of a conference. So we just had to leave.
Okay. And then you were part of the formation of the BCP.
Yes.
What does it take to form a political party and sustain it? How has it been? How has the journey been?
It's been a long, difficult one. You know, when you form a party, you all believe you're going to win the next election. I've seen that with many parties. Bo BMD, Bo AP,
Bo NDF.
And the voter can humble you. So we went into the first election in 1999. I still remember we won only one parliamentary seat, Yaokavango. out of, I think then there were 40 seats. And people, I remember saying, why the next election, this party will be gone. We had 13 councillors at the time. Still remember those statistics. First by-election after that was Kokhale. We won it. And I thought, oh, we are gaining traction. But we also believed that we had a unique message for the populace. We are able to differentiate ourselves. And we are able to commit to certain principles that we hold dearly up to this day. Issues around democratic reforms. We've been the party that spoke the loudest over the years about reforming our constitution. That we need a constitution that respects not only your first generation human rights, but also your second generation. You know, your right to work, your right to health, your right to quality education. Those are issues that the BCP manifesto, from the very first one in 1999, have dominated over the years. So we are not wishy-washy about our core principles. On the economy, we've always adopted a balanced approach. We moved from what we were initially associated with as a party that calls for a strong government-controlled economy to a party that then became a strong proponent for a mixed economy in which government mainly plays the role of intervening where markets or the private sector is unable to deliver. Not necessarily to say that government should do everything, but that the government and the private sector must complement each other. Private sector is not an enemy of the state. Private sector should be allowed to do what it does best. Invests, take risk with capital, create jobs, and create wealth for the shareholders. Government must be the referee, must also be a player, in our view, as Botswana Congress Party, and identify sectors that are too risky for private sector to venture into, but are critical for the development of the nation. So that has remained, those have remained our core principles. And we have grown over the years. Every time when people thought the BCP is dead and finished, we prove ourselves. And the last election was the biggest testament to our resilience. In the last election, people were saying, go out and punish Botswana Congress Party. We've always been the party blamed for everything. Punish them because
if it wasn't for them, the opposition would have won the elections.
Yes, if it wasn't for BCP, the opposition would have won in 1999. But you know, when we are with them and they don't win, they don't say anything. I mean, in 2019, we tried, nothing worked. We became convinced that there is a need for a different player than what the UDC offers. And the voters have said, we hear you. When people said punish them, they said, no, we will not punish them. We will give them the highest number of seats they have ever had since they were formed, which is 15 seats that we got in Parliament. Everyone thought we had come out from a bloody, deadly divorce, less than 3 years to elections in 2024. But we came out and, in my view, performed exceptionally well. We would have loved to win the elections, but we must be also realistic about where we are coming from. You don't come from a divorce, a political divorce of the nature that we did. Other parties that left the UDC, like AP, could only get 1 seat. We walked out and we got our 15 seats. So the future looks good for BCP.
We'll get to the bloody divorce. Let's look at, you are mentioning the economy.
Yes.
And I remember very well one of the major contributions you made in Parliament was with relation to VAT.
Yes.
You know, some of the commodities that should be exempted from VAT. Looking at your history in Parliament, what are the significant contributions that Dumela and Saleshando made?
Well, look, I always...
You can just take 3 top ones.
Yes, I always read from the BCP manifesto. One of what you should also understand about being opposition is that you don't present because you have the numbers to see it through. Sometimes you present knowing fully well they're going to say no. But what I want to achieve is public education around an issue. And one of the biggest ones that I will all forever cherish is when I stood up and presented a private members bill, which was a very uncommon thing. And the private members bill was on freedom of information. Again, not necessarily a vote-catching issue. But it gave me the national platform to educate the country. And it really softened my heart one day when I was in Ngamiland. And I met someone who said, and this was someone who has just worked in the Mumutsing, why do you think the BDP doesn't want freedom of information law? I said, wow, I thought it was a Gaborone issue. Central. So public education was a big thing for me as a one MP party. Private freedom of information. I didn't win. They rejected the bill. But it put pressure on the nation. For BDP, it is a private freedom of information. The second one is around, now that's political, about public funding of political parties.
Yeah, I know we'd actually need the whole episode to discuss that.
Yeah. Economy again, it's about getting a balance. I'm a politician, economy is not about textbook economics. It's also about real life economics.
Yes.
To meet the basics. You then look at what am I taking from Leagajan's pocket. And the easiest thing for me was, let's reduce the tax burden. VAT. VAT is generally a regressive tax. It's a mumungwe. But I was able to persuade Parliament or aren't send the more basic food. I had little do with the get about this one and linama. This one and the pallage. Or how we rec. Later I came back to Parliament and said, for young people, aren't send the ketomo by lingore. Haba libelity the ketotabotelo, on a loreka kuli, or church or negative horecanto. Aren't sell a keto from first time buyers, home buyers. And that continues to be the case today. And I'm happy those are some of the highlights of my stay in the National Assembly.
That's very commendable. And then you talked about the bitter divorce, your departure. I had conversations with LJ. I try the best I can to avoid politics, party politics. But when I have a guest like yourself, there's no way I can. I mean, your life is all about politics. Politics is your life.
Yes.
And then let's look at your departure from the UDC.
Yes.
Some people blame it on your selfishness and ambition. What's your take on that?
Well, what went wrong? One of the biggest problems was that the party had a constitution which was being disregarded. The constitution said that we should have elections. Remember molao motheo o adoptile ka 2010 somewhere there. Nane re seo. Mme re a ro tsamaise. Ya ka lona ba lo nne re lo itlhela lo kwadile. Sengwe sa dio tso di buang ke gore wa re boetele pele bo tlhophiwe. A bo bua gore bo tlhophiwe go tsamaisiwe ka dikgato di. Ga re dire se gatsa sone seo ya be nna se khopi se golo. Gore 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 o batla go tla emela ditlhopho. Molato wa go emela ditlhopho ke. It's not greed. It's a culture. You must understand. It's a culture, of good governance. Gore boetele pele bo tshwanetse bo shahadiwe. Mme bo ka shahadiwa hela ka ditlhopho. E nnile se khopi se se tona. Sengwe se ne se le teng ke gore rona ne re insista gore a diphuthego tsa boetele pele di tsene. E se ka ya nna gore re tla ne re utlwa go twe moetele pele o tsere ditshwetso. It must be collective decision making. And that is what I pride myself with, le Botswana Congress Party. From now we are always about collective decision making. That is why ka ska tla kana go epe go twe go na le tshwetso e tsereng me e ne ba tloa ke dumelang. And I'll give you an example. One of the things I recently tried strongly to advocate for is for BCP to change tsamaiso ya yone ya go tlhopha the delegates. Gore a re dirise proportional representation. Ka gore ke yone tota re tsa bolong go e batla le mo lehatseng. Can we incorporate it into the organization? It would gompieno ga re ya conference ya ka tlebere wa dingwe le nngwe e emelwa ke 5 people go conference. This means that ha ile gore total membership mo wading ke 5 for argument's sake. 100% ya conference.
Another ward ile 100.
Ronald di wadi gompieno tse ile gore boloko jwa tsone ke bo 1000. Should 1000 people be represented by 5 members? When ba bangwe ba le 5 hela bo batla botle. So but I was defeated. I was defeated and I've accepted because the majority prefer the system thing monakonya ya gompieno.
You know, talking about being defeated, let me just interject. One thing I love about, I've got friends in the BCP. By the way, I'm not into politics at all. I've long quit politics. I'm just a political science student. Yes. But I've got many friends in the BCP. And one thing they tell me is about the freedom, how decisions are reached at the BCP. And I'm told most of the times you are defeated.
I get defeated so many times.
That's what I hear.
Leko constituency, ke barutile gore I may be party president. But when I attend the constituency meeting, Ketla as a party member, an ex-officio member of constituency, the most senior member of constituency, ke chairman.
That's true.
Wa constituency. Ona le muthusi wa gagwe, ona le secretary. So I can go there and try and influence the program. But they tell me, no, sir, ha ka re dumalane le wena, re tsere tshwetso ra hwira yana. I can't tell them gore yana ke bua ke le party president. It's their forte. It's ke maikarabelo a bone. And I always emphasize this gore, remember, ga ke bue le lona ke le party president. But when I get to the central committee, again, I'm only the first amongst equals. Ke ba megopolo ya me ke be ke ba bolela gore me tshwetso ke ya lona. And there's never been a time where ke tsere tshwetso ke be ke ba ra ke re e ke ya me ke le tautona ke a etsa, except where the constitution says only president you shall do the following. In most cases, even when I exercise those powers, the constitution hearing ke tsami ke a bolela ba ke berekang le bone gore I am going to exercise these powers. Mme ke ne ke kopa go tlo gore lona mogopolo wa lona ke mo go tshwetso ke batlang go etsa. It's just the way I am. Sometimes people have said, even go central committee, some people have said dumelang you are over consultative. Some of these things o tshwanetse o di dira. I think I value cohesion within an organization. And I don't want to be a leader who says I want to be a leader who says we as much as I can.
Yeah, I know you've criticized former President Masisi a lot about the eyes, his eyes. Yes. And then you just, earlier on, you were talking about the core values of the BCP manifesto.
Yes.
And the BCP is seen, and I'm not being political, but I must also admit that I hold the same view, that I think the BCP is the most organized party in the country. Your manifesto is very clear, it's very coherent, and even your organization, I mean, let's face reality, you're a very organized party. But why is this thing not translating into votes? Have you tried to look into that?
Well, yes, we have received feedback. Sometimes the best written manifesto does not deliver votes. Because the best written, logical, and when I say best written, I don't mean well thought out.
Yes.
We are prepared to say to the nation, we believe 4,000 should be the minimum, but it can't happen in
12 months.
In 12 months. It can happen over 5 years because you need to do the following first, to build the economy, to raise the rate of growth in the economy, and it makes perfect sense. But sometimes people tell us, give us feedback, BCP, Lona, you like speaking to the mind. You want to talk to the mind of the voter. Sometimes the voter wants you to talk to the heart. And sometimes the voter heart, Kana there is a hit list. Ko ga goromente ra bolawa ki party e busang. Khona go ha dithopo. Speak to the heart. Even if you have no evidence of a hit list, bua gore go na le hit list. Ga mongwa lona ka tlhokahala. Go sena bosupi jo go bolailwe ile accident. Ranse chabalo ro bolailwe. We know it's not possible to do satellite images tsa go supa koloi tsa ma ha gare ga Ramatlabama le Lobatse. But ra batho wa go dira o ta supa gore motho o bolailwe. They will vote for you. Speak to their fears. I don't do those politics. I don't venture in that line. I don't say to people, ke na le bosupi jwa gore go a go tsiediwa. E re go dua mo ditlhophong ke winne be kere ha go a tsiediwa. Ha ke lositse be kere go tsieditse. I don't, together with BCP, that's not our style of politics. And I think in the long term, people are gravitating towards our message, our well-reasoned message. But I'll tell you one other thing that people have said, or we actually do also sometimes lack. Going not only speaking to, because in speaking to the mind, you run the risk of sometimes becoming too intellectual. And maybe the BCP has fallen into that trap. That even when we talk about your second generation rights, we must explain it such that Mutoi Twarlan Ditlapi ko kwai can align with the message, can understand it in the language. So I think going forward to 2029, we've received this feedback. It's about now packaging this message in simple terms. Mongwe le mongwe a kgone go utlwisisa. A re tlhaloganye a itse gore what will a BCP ha re second generation rights go ra eng mo go nna. Ga se sekgowa hela se se buang go bo United Nations. Go ra gore tshwanelo ya me ya gore ke bone tiro e tla tlotlo. Ha go te o na le tshwanelo ya gore o bone tiro e tla tlotlo go te wa eng. O le mo shorobe o sa bereki. So that is the message we need to now, and I think we have a good time ahead of us to start working on a manifesto that is aligned with our principles but understandable to the common men on the ground.
Talking about feedback,
yes,
there is another feedback,
yes,
which puts blame squarely at your doorstep.
Yes.
To say the reason why the BCP is not willing is because of Dumelan. Some people believe you've reached your sell-by date. What's your take on that?
You know, the true people who can decide if I have reached my sell-by date, I agree, Congress Party.
Yes.
I wasn't even aware. Ki reached in 2010 my buying date. You
know, when you first became president?
When I first became president of the party. I dilly-dallied, I was hesitant. I remember sitting then with Reading Ike, if you can even take it a step back. When I contested for elections in 2004, again, I came into the race very late. Because it's not my time to run for parliament. Let me run for council. And I wanted to be more councillor of a village. I would win the word. But people sat around me and said, no, in the interest of the party, you have what it takes to win a constituency for us. And
you stood against the political giant?
Giants,
actually.
Political giants.
Yes.
Two strong, very strong women in our politics at the time. And I was fortunate I made it through. Like there was the lengthy discussions. And I was saying to them, I think I have what it takes to be a good Secretary General of the party. It's about forming structures. I had been an MP, Kilenusiko Parliamenty. You know, in the 5 years, I was the only MP go Parliamenty. Nagonoka Parliamenty, it's out tour the length and breadth of this country. Right at the end of Okavango, touring Lebore Kavindama for a whole week. I would go to areas where the BCP was non-existent, in Tswapong, addressing meetings, forming structures, because people had heard of Dumelang Saleshando Parliamentary Central. And I thought, I can do this very well. Maybe I should just run for Secretary General, help the party to have the structures it needs. But the majority view, again, of people in the party was that, no, you will serve us better as the president of the party. Reboela conferencing, elective conference this year, they will tell me, Kori, have you reached your sell-by date or not? Yes.
Talking about your ambition being to run for Secretary General, and then you were touted for presidency. I think, as I said, I've got lots of friends in the BCP.
Yes.
Look, don't even try to recruit me after this. I'm not interested.
You're good at what you do.
I'm not interested. But there's been a lot of accusations, especially in the political arena. And I always look at this, and I'll speak for you. The BCP always goes for elective Congress. Issue but I want to challenge you on this one to confirm or deny this. My friends in the BCP say your father was actually against you running for presidency. Yes. As a father, is that true or not?
It's actually true. It was a difficult discussion that we had. Now my attitude was, look, I could understand. It's apparent you're eating the dangers that come with being the top person in a political party. In a lot of these political parties, before you go out, there's internal contestations of sometimes where you find even people within your party plotting against you. And this was here's was a father who was looking at his son. You and I, in his eyes, still wet behind the ears. Doesn't understand the dangers of the role that people are proposing him for. I remember sitting down with him and Nantare. Bangubabaring Weme are going to be the ones who are going to plot against you as soon as you take up the position. The last meeting we had was in Maung, where he now gave his last address to the Central Committee as president at the time. And he made it clear that he leaves a disappointed man because some of the people he worked closely with and he trusted have put pressure on his son, meaning myself, to contest for the top position. And he would have rather I waited. And the person who came to my rescue in that meeting was Relipitu Sichwaelo. You can go and ask him about it.
No, you've actually confirmed three things in your response.
Yes, Relipitu Sichwaelo came to my rescue and said, I think he's roughly the same age as my dad. Sales. I don't think I was voted for because I am Gilson Saleshando's son. At that point, I had taken up a number of responsibilities, not because of my surname. I had started off as the Youth League representative on publicity, BCP. When our then publicity secretary left us, I was asked to hold fort, and people felt I did a good job as publicity secretary. I entered the race for Gaborone Central and saved the party from embarrassment when I was the only one who won when I contested in 2004. I had toured the length and breadth of the country and built BCP structures. So people thought, let's give him a chance. We are not the first in Botswana to be a family in Parliamentary. I mean, look, former President Mokgweetsi Masisi, ragwe ne ile mo Parliamente, mogolowe e ne ile mo Parliamente. The late Kenneth Koma, go na le nako e na le mo Central Committee, ngwana ga go ile leloko la Central Committee. Ba bangwe ke a itse ba tle ba go to South Africa. I remember Liburu lengwe le ka go challenger a member of the Sisulu family. Remember under Mandela's parliament?
Yeah, it was husbands, wives.
They were like 3 Sisulus mo Parliamente. Mongwe a bua gore there are too many Sisulus. And I liked the response that was given by one of the Sisulus. For yes, there are 3 of us in parliament. When there were 5 of us in prison at one point, did you complain? So, but Tabaring Jaboswa are really ignorant, in my view, downright ignorant of our politics, disingenuous, and don't want to engage me on issues that matter. They should be saying to people, he should not be there because or his views are a danger to our nation. Now I just look at them and say, okay, I've met another coward today who can't engage me on issues that matter. I have come through the structures and sacrificed my youth days. When people my age, bane ba ja monate ba ya departing, nane ke lala mo di classroom ke le ka hwaga make my contribution to the politics of this country.
Yes. And I'm glad you confirmed what my BCP friend said was Rabbi Melan's reasons for not supporting you.
Yes.
It was nothing personal. He was of the view, like you said it, he believed you were still wet behind the ears.
Yes.
And as I'm saying, kana ki motsadi
Yes.
And then let's look at you are talking about the performance of the BCP. It is seen more as a regional party. It hasn't really penetrated to the south.
True.
Isn't that a failure on your part?
Well, it's an issue of big concern to us as the BCP. Remember, we've now dominated the Northwest, I think. Well, not I think. It's the numbers see it.
Yes.
We have traction coming from the Northwest into the Northeast. We have Bo Totomede, part of the Central, also close to the Northeast. Nkange. We have Bo Tati East. We have a presence, Kobo Silibi Pigwi, and surrounding areas, including Bobo Bonong. We lost Madinare marginally. We made serious inroads into Tswapong. So we're on the road. We've done the A3 to Francistown. We are now on the A1 coming down south. We've got some presence in Katling. We won in Ramotsa. We've won Gaborone Central before, but it has become a bit more difficult. We have become very intentional as Botswana Congress Party to focus on the south. This was a decision that was taken in 2025, going south. We can't win government if we can't make an impact in the south. So 2026, 2027, and 2028 are going to be years on which we focus on the south. It may seem difficult, but it is not impossible. Renali council seats in the south that we have won in the last election with not as much effort as we would have liked. I mean, who would have thought for running an election where the incumbent president was from Mushopa? But we have a sitting councillor, Mushopa. We have a sitting councillor in Tlokwe. We have councillors, Mokweni. So the green shoots are there. It's for us to go all out and try and make sure that the party has a strong following in the south. It is the priority of our priorities as we are going forward. Yes, it's a weakness on our part. We are addressing it.
Yes. We have seen in most developed worlds where political party leaders resign when they fail to win an election for the party. It's not, I don't think it's a democratic principle. It is just a practice.
Yes.
And then when I posted on Facebook that I would be interviewing you, somebody, okay, and then I decided to forget the manner in which he presented the question. I just focused on the essence of his post, was ask him why he did not resign, or he's not resigning after failing to win elections for the BCP.
Okay. You know, you also need to understand something about politics. It takes decades to develop political leaders. Literally, it takes decades.
Very true.
To develop political leaders. One of the things that I hope historians at one point will point out to is that when the BDP lost a number of young people who had been there for more than 10 years, being developed, it set it back big time. Baba Nembatsama, the likes of my friend Botsalo Ntuane, Homolemo Motswaledi, Mohaolale, Orobale Kakakiso, Winter Mulutsi, and many others. Now, the reality is that it also takes a lot to attract talent into politics. Someone with the skills would rather go corporate and have certainty of prosperity, because Yarona, it's a landmark field with the landmines.
Landmines.
Yes.
It's a field of landmines.
It's a field of landmines. Things can go up in smoke. People with talent who would have otherwise thrived in the corporate world or thrived as public servants have gone to their graves as paupers because they entered politics. So it's not easy to attract talent into politics. And I'm not saying I am necessarily the best thing to have talent to have come through. There are many others. Hey,
what if, when did you say your next elective congress is?
It's in July.
It's in July.
July. So
what if you were to be challenged and lose?
I would accept the results. The results are a very democratic process of saying we think you can serve best here. There will come a time where my BCP batan thamaleta, or you have done well as our president. We now think so and so can do a better job. Chances are they may persuade me, let's not even go to elections. The writing is on the wall.
Okay. And then the people that we talked about earlier, are already accusing you of and probably that's time that you are talking about. That is what they are referring to, maybe. Let's look at your son Luago's participation in politics. Are you the one who persuaded him to join, or is doing it out of his own volition? I know it's unfair to talk about him. He's not he's a man. He's independent.
Let's talk about him. Let's talk about him. You know, some years back, Namu boarding school go South Africa. I remember when I had taken him out for dinner with a friend of his. Would you recommend politics for me? He was detached. I go South Africa. And I gave a very quick answer. One word, strong. Never was my response. I would never. But why are you in? My dad didn't do enough to stop me from going into politics. That was my response. And I said to him, I have a responsibility to guide you, and I'm not going to guide you into politics. We had that conversation. I think Nabalabo Form 2 or Form 3 at the time. Fast forward, I then got a sense of, my initial response was to try and more actively discourage him. But this is the instinct of a parent. Parental instinct, you seem to be talented. That's
very true. My mother was a politician, a former councillor. She never wanted me in politics.
Yes. Yeah. But you know, I've gone full circle. I then decided that I will be indifferent. I will look the other way. Discourage, encourage. But some people have talked to me. No, you actually have a responsibility to guide. And you know, like I said earlier on, now that it's clear what it's his interests, I have no business trying to block him to pursue his dreams. He voted in the last elections. He's a voter. He'll be voting in the next elections. Him and I have political discussions. We differ, as was to be expected.
Actually, there was a time I thought he was anti-BCP.
We differ. And I engage with him freely. I don't impose my thoughts on him. Mm-hmm. I try and tell him why I think his line of reasoning is not necessarily the correct way of looking at things. But look, he's a young man. He tends to be quite radical. I've had my days of radicalism. But let him go through.
Let him go through his youth.
The motions. And what I like about him is that he is not intimidated by the cowards. He's not intimidated by those cowards. Mm-hmm. I generally try. I'm uncomfortable listening to him during his podcasts, his interviews. I'm like, let me.
Wow, it's fatherly instincts, man.
Yes. Yeah. But I have listened to one where Bonwa Mitsi, and that's how he called them. Bonwa Mitsi tried to take on him. He's a fighter. He defends himself. He doesn't need his father to come out for him.
What if he was to challenge you for presidency? Would you run or you'd step down? I know it's a difficult question.
Let's hope it does not happen. Fortunately, I think we have a referee at home. Uh-huh. The mother would become the referee.
All right.
It has happened before in the politics of the Labour Party. Mm-hmm. If you remember, there used to be the what were they called? The Miliband brothers.
Ted and Ed. The other one was the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Yeah.
Yes, the two brothers.
The other one was more into Labour.
Yes, the two brothers.
Yes.
They both served in the cabinet, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown.
Yes.
But Peletong, they ran against each other for the leadership of the party.
Yes. And the timid one won, actually.
Yes, Ed Miliband won.
Yes.
I was a great fan of the older brother.
Yes.
I think he ultimately migrated to the US and worked for some NGO. But even in America, we've had the same thing. Mm-hmm. I remember there was an election where the Republicans, yes, where the big story was the Bush brothers.
The Bush brothers.
I mean, you had George Bush as president, and you had two talented sons, Sarah Bush, running. One ultimately became president. Mm-hmm. But they did not descend to pettiness.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. And then you mentioned the referee. Just remind me if I forget to talk about your relationship with the British Labour Party, because you mentioned it. Let's talk about your life as a married man. Mm-hmm. You know, I look at you and former President Masisi, the way you express your affection for your wives in public. This is really admirable. I must say, it's really commendable. And sometimes you look into this, I'm pretending, but you realize this is genuine. I mean, what drives you? What motivates you?
Look,
I go shy, but there's something behind it.
Well, unfortunately, those that have known my family will know that I have never been this husband who wants to keep the wife behind the scenes. This is a life partner that we have decisions to make together going forward. So we've always had a close relationship, not only when I was in politics, but even before I ventured into politics. And I remember us having a discussion when we were about to get married, from day one. And now my view was that I'm not looking for a submissive, behind-the-scenes wife. I've worked in the banks. I have seen how women who are married in community of property are disempowered and can't take decisions. even about improving the fortunes of the family. Kung itala monna le ko mahatsing a tsana skwele go tunya kra go sainela. Aba patalsa go enela monna go tla di holiday ngata go mo sainela. And I said to him, I'm not getting married to a minor. I'm getting married to an adult, and I want you to pursue your own dreams. So we've had that discussion before about how we want to go about our lives. She's been a great supporter of all that I do. And not only when the cameras are there, even when it's difficult politically, even when I want to do something I'm passionate about, but it's not really for political mileage. And I'll give you an example. The medical outreach.
Hey,
when you know, where I don't have to do this things.
Yes.
But accessing medical personnel, qualified medical personnel,
yes,
can become a life and death issue. I have seen people travel from as far as Khansi, from as far as Shakawi. Boba go kota maha khorong ya gore diretseng teng the medical outreach ka bo 5 pakela.
I've seen the numbers.
Yes. So it always comes out well organized, and the truth is she's got the skills for it. I don't. Now I may have the contacts and influence, but she helps a lot to put it together and make sure that it runs. Not even in my constituency. I don't ask for votes. But there's a junior community there. It's a boarding school. It's a Mababe, Sankuyu, harna boarding facility for junior community. So by hella koma kala mabidi. But you want tabar bana barno ko gabat listen. I went kia hiponel. Kosena matrasi barobala hati got a sponsor who donated mattresses, donated blankets, donated shoes, donated school bags for the school. And I'm happy looking back, even though the results have improved. You
should have boasted about it. I saw some MPs boasting about results.
Yes. Well, look, for me, it's a passion to try and lift the Semosatutu. A school not in my constituency. I wasn't there. It was last year, medical challenges. Who went? My wife traveled.
She was an acting MP. I remember that.
Yes. Asabone lehayele sitting allowance. So she's been my number one supporter who doesn't only cheer me on, but also soils her hands to make sure that my job gets done.
What does that say about you as a leader on family values?
I believe that strong families produce strong individuals, family members. Children who grow up under a strong family environment are likely to do well, be self-confident, they've got the basic support structure. Such families produce strong communities. When there are more strong families, they produce strong communities. Strong communities are a good base for building a strong nation. So I don't think it's symbolic. It's about nation building. Look, I'm not saying those who have been unable to pull through as family, as couples, should be looked down upon.
I hear you.
I suspect it's because of reasons that they wish had not been the case.
Yes.
But all said and done, we are all better off with stronger families.
Yes, but you might find that some of the spouses, prefer not to be in the public. They're supporting behind the scenes. That is exactly what you are saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's their choice.
Yes.
It should never be imposed on anyone.
Yeah. Let's get back to the British Labour Party.
Yes.
What is the relationship between the BCP and the British Labour Party, and how have they contributed to your growth?
We share a lot of political principles with the British Labour Party. And the British Labour Party, by the way, previously they didn't support us. They supported some other party. But going forward, assessing political developments in Botswana, they settled for Botswana Congress Party. They have helped us to learn from their experience about managing parties. And by the way, I think a lot of people also believe that the British Labour Party is a very well-managed party. And thanks, we also share the same tag. But they've helped BCP in training our cadre. They have helped us to expose our members to developments in the UK. We've had I've been a beneficiary. I've attended the British Labour Party annual conference. I understand what it means to run an organized conference as a party. We've had some of our members go there and observe their campaigning for elections. So it's a very strong relationship that has gone over for more than 20 years in this. But at the moment, we're also looking into broadening our partnerships, starting first within the region. So you will be seeing us making some announcements very, very soon about the relationships we are building with like-minded political parties within SADC.
And then I know you have a very strong leadership development program in BCP. What is the reason behind it and how is it doing? And who are the products of that?
Well, if you want to look at the products of the Botswana Congress Party leadership development, you can start with the ruling party. We have the youngest speaker in Parliament, Ditapelo Geographic. And I must say, we've had our differences, but I'm proud to see our product sitting on the top chair, presiding over the National Assembly. The youngest speaker we've ever had in this country. One of the youngest in SADC. I think he competes for that.
I think he's the third in the continent, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the region.
There's one in Seychelles, I think Tanzania. I think he's the third youngest.
I think there's also a young one who recently came on board in Angola.
Yeah.
Yeah. But clearly, I think he's doing well. You can also look at those who leave our party. Some are heading parastatals. Yes, some are heading parastatals. Those who went with the former ruling party all ended up in cabinet ahead of. Some are also within our own party. I mean, look at Member of Parliament Tlhabologo Fenich. He's been around. He's been in our youth structures. And he is coming through as the man to look
precisely
going forward.
When he came into Parliament, he seemed a bit timid, but he's really maturing.
We are certainly investing in developing people like that. So I think that going to 2029, we will see more younger candidates. Go to counseling. I mean, you just go to council ya Okavango. The deputy council chair. So we are trying to avail these opportunities. You know, we have something that we call the Parliamentary Support Team. It's not a formalized structure, BCP.
Yes.
But it's a behind-the-scenes platform where professionals are giving guidance to our MPs, former technocrats, former senior civil servants. But what we recently also sought to do is to now infuse youth talent so that when I am sitting there and I am going to respond to the budget and I have proven economists who have held high positions advising me behind the scenes, there must also be younger people. Your current sitting students at the University of Botswana have now been brought in on board to sit at the table and also share their views but learn from. So it doesn't happen by accident. It's something that we are intentional about.
Yes. Talking about members who have left the BCP, has there been an instance where you got hurt by a member who left the BCP, where somebody left the BDP and you were left bleeding?
I'd be lying to you if I were to say to you, I've never hurt by some of those who defect. I'm not going to mention names. Yes. But they, especially when you are the top leader, sometimes you ask yourself, could it be something that I could have avoided? Is it because we are lacking somewhere? Could I, as leader, and those around me have done better to retain this person? Baba, when we sit and talk, bampolela gore ke eng ba tsamaya. Miaga ba sena go tswa tse ba di buang e be di harologana le tse ba di mpoleletseng.
That's the nature of politics.
Yes. Yes. It leaves you with a broken heart. But I have learned gore every departure opens doors for even more talent. That has been my attitude.
Is there anyone you'd love to bring back? Or you've moved on to the BCP? Or you've moved on?
Remember when those 5 MPs left, Nereba Bitsabo, Jutas, we went to Mahalapi. Central Committee had suspended them, I get. Before they left, I then went to a party conference. Congress said never. Today. It was possibly the only moment where I ran out of words. Kitswala conference. Words choked me and came close to shedding a tear. I want you to support me at least on this one. I would want to see them back. I'm like, that father, you're Morasisi. And fortunately, one came back. Who was the first person to go and hug him? It was myself. So everyone that leaves, I always pray for their return. Some have returned recently. I think you have heard of Bo Remajadi Bodu, who used to be our parliamentary candidate. Konata left for the BDP. Ubuile, Bo, our youthful Tato Supile.
Oh, Tato is also back.
They've come back.
Interesting.
I think Boshen Nerlateretsuki, Red Banks Ndebele, Atseruki, by UDC, also Hiponela Zadi Boning, Ubonora Hasibonoki Boetelo. He has come back. So I am hoping more and more of them
That's interesting.
will come back. So my heart always bleeds when one leaves.
Yeah. As we move towards the end, one thing I've observed, what is wrong with you? What is this thing with you and the army generals? I know you used to have to give Remy Rafi a very hard time. And I'm seeing now, should I say, let me put it this way, you're also giving Remo Kware a hard time. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. But what is this with you and the army generals in parliament?
Actually, I think a little, but you know what? Who maintain a very good relations with.
I know.
The late Ramadelu Kaseretse was a good friend of mine. Kitso Mukaila was from the military up to this day. We still chat.
Yes. No, just these two.
But, it's not good to speak ill of the departed. So maybe make it Remy Rafi gore go ne le 100 dumalane te.
Yes.
But Re Mokware, and I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Hey, but civilian special constable. And he has other strengths, by the way.
Yes.
Generally, with him, he means what he says. the truth has become the biggest casualty.
Yes.
Go tlhoka boammaruri go nile fashion mo gompieno mo politiking ya rona. One thing I admire about him is that what he says today, he will repeat next year. He doesn't try to run around and justify why he only loses it for me. Nako lena ko haile gore ga dio tse dingwe le ka gore ra re dikarabo ko re kile ra botsa Tom Krag. No, o mo setilong gompieno. You must account. You can't be how to account ke be ke re kana ke. I mean, look, le nna go nka bua ka moswekare we are in opposition. I get it. We take full responsibility for the duties of a main opposition. I can't be answering questions and saying, "Nya kana mo go rubiditse ba ne le main opposition pele ga me." I take the good with the bad. Yes.
And this is a bit uncomfortable, but I have to say it.
Yes.
It's part of the feedback. Some people are of the view that you are a very good leader and you bring very important issues to Parliament. But their concern sometimes is your presentation. Just allow me to use the word.
Yes.
Your comments. I'm sorry to say this. I'm saying it with respect. But I think it's feedback that you need to know. Maybe what's your take on that?
Well, there are actually two. You know, ra Parliament dirwa life kana kwa COVID. You'd remember you in government then.
Yes.
People were now seeing firsthand. The first feedback I received was, "Hey, obagale thata." And I'd never been told that by anyone. Mo Parliamente. Gore now what for me is passion is seen by others as aggression and anger. I must say sometimes. So if you had to compare my presentation now and my presentation pre-COVID, I have deliberately toned down, but still some people say it's not yet there, to try and deliver the message differently. Yes, some are saying sometimes I allow my sarcastic side to spoil my presentation. I sometimes tend to go overboard. You know, the feedback helps because I know what sometimes trips me. Don't talk when you side remark. Yo kwa lapeng yo lebeletse mo television ga utlwi gore ke khobotlediwa go tweng ke ba ba hapele ga me. And nako tse dingwe ga ke respond yo re editseng is like, "Hey, why don't you just stick to?" So it's feedback I have received. And you know, feedback is the late Radi Tokwa used to like this expression where feedback is the breakfast for champions. So I accept.
Okay.
I accept Hore, it's been a shortcoming on my part. Going forward, you will see less to none of that.
Okay, no, that's great. I appreciate and I must commend you for that. Talking about the late Rollo Gradikokar, feedback is the breakfast for champions. He's the same one going to somebody lacks the psychology of good looks.
Yes, but now we have someone who has taken the psychology of good looks too far.
Too far.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about
Middle ground is the way to go.
Yeah. Last two questions. Part of the feedback, I mean, some of the questions that have been asked to pose to you is on death penalty. Somebody said, if you were to be elected president of this country, what's up the death penalty? I think the essence of the question, like, what is your stance on death penalty?
Okay. You know, go na le dingwe ko parting tse dingwe ga re di bua re decidile gore a re letelele maloko a rona gore ba itsele ditshwetso tsa bone ga re security se ganya death penalty ko partying gore rona re hakae re amogetse mo go yeo gore re tla ya le se bontsi jwa batswana ba se batlang because the death penalty has no influence on the core values of the Botswana Congress Party. Ga e change sepe mo goreng a re ka diragatsa ditsholehetso tsa rona tsa sepolotiki. Ga e hetole sepe gore a re ka dira sepe se se pharologanyo ka ditsholehetso tsa rona mo go tsa itsholelo. So it's one of those issues where we have decided to our members lo tla itsela ditshwetso ka go yone party ga e tlhoke go tsaya tshwetso ka death penalty. We will be guided by gore bontsi jwa Batswana ba reng. Ha e le gore mongwe o batla go change death penalty, o tshwanetse a tlhamaletse Batswana gore a re bueng ka death penalty. And this is advice I have given, I must say, to even members of the UDC when we are together, drafting the 2019 manifesto. But let's not go to that road. Yeo ke ya Batswana. Ha e le gore ka nako nngwe re ka tlelwa ke kakanyo ya go hetola, re tshwanetse re ba tlhamaletse gore it's a yes or no, a wa e batla kana ga o e batle. Na mo bogompienong ke tsa gore mathata a rona ke gore go lekwa, well, the current president has said publicly gore ena ga e support. Yaanong go leka go emisiwa death penalty ka constitutional court. Now I can tell you gore ga ke dumalane le constitutional court gore di rwele nosi. Ke batla constitutional review. Ha e le gore death penalty ke kgang a etse nngwe mo constitutional review. Gore ha re review ya constitution re botse Batswana gore a lo batla le death penalty kana ga lo e batla. Ga ba re ba e batla and I'm elected president of the country, go be go bewa dipampiri mo tafoleng, case ke re o bolaile, high court e dumelana gore o bolaile, court of appeal ya re o bolaile, sign ke a sign ka gore ke diragatsa se e leng gore ke keletso tse ba ntlhophileng. So it's as clear as that, but don't construe that to say gore a ke dumela gore ra rabolla seo ke thomo ya ba batleng ba go tsentse ho tse dingwe di tshwetso Batswana ba tshwantse ba di itsele. Go na le tshwetso tse e leng gore tsone di tla tsewa ke president ke ena tla tsa ntshwetso ya gore foreign policy ya rona, who do we align with? I can't hold a referendum going around the country go ke president ke do you want to have stronger relations with the east or the west, or do you want, those will be the decisions of the president. But the death penalty ka se decision ya president ke decision ya Motswana.
Okay, final question.
Yes.
Saleshando, do you still have the stamina to lead the BCP to the 2029 elections and beyond?
I'm still fired up. And I think you can tell from the level of organization in Parliament. I preside over our parliamentary business, and I'm trying to help my team say the best possible and put forward. 2029, will I still be the best person to step forward? But I feel I can do it. I believe I can do it. I still have the energy for the job. I still have the passion for the job. But should someone emerge with greater energy and greater attraction to the voter, I will support that person, because if the BCP wins, I have won.
Saleshando, it's been a great pleasure having this conversation with you, and I wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Finally,
thank you so much. Yeah. Oh yes, what a conversation, what a great one. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation, and as I promised you, I will keep bringing more people, many people who've got very inspirational stories. I want to bring people that can inspire you, that can give you hope about life in general. Please invite your friends to subscribe to the channel, Conversations with LJ. And until then, let's keep loving one another and let's stop gender-based violence. Thank you.